And as Israel continues its all-out offensive on Hamas militants, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that he would do whatever it takes to defend his nation. Take a look.
I just want your viewers to imagine the United States being bombarded, not in one city or two cities, but in every city between New York and Colorado. Maybe 20% of the United States would be exempt from this. 80% of your citizens would have to be in bomb shelters or ready to go into bomb shelters within a minute to a minute and a half max. You can't, no country can accept that. We can't accept that, and we'll take the necessary action to stop it.
Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Colonel, let's go to the Prime Minister's proposition here, and that is that 1,000 rockets have been fired into Israeli cities. You have 2/3 of all of Israel's population, 2/3, that have had, they've all had to go to bomb shelters in the last 7 days. You literally have, if not for the Iron Dome, those 1,000 rockets would have landed, and that would have escalated the war and obviously the casualties. If this were America, how would we react? And why isn't the president out there in stronger, clear, in concise, with moral clarity saying, we support you. You have the right to defend yourself? I don't hear that out of the president or the administration.
No, you're absolutely right, Sean. It's a good pleasure to be with you. And you don't hear any firm declaration from the president. As a matter of fact, one of his special assistants, Philip Gordon, was there in Israel just last week.
He blamed
Israel. Absolutely. He blamed Israel for standing up. The key and important thing we must understand, Sean, is that Hamas is a non-state, non-uniform belligerent that is conducting combat operations, terrorist operations against a nation state that is recognized by the United Nations. Hamas does not deserve any type of recognition. We should not be sitting at the table talking about having negotiations. The only negotiation should be the total elimination of Hamas, because its charter talks about the complete destruction and the killing of every Jewish citizen, man, woman, and child, and the destruction of Israel. So how are you going to negotiate a ceasefire with this type of group? All they're doing is buying time to replenish the 1,000 rockets that they just expended, and those rockets and armaments that were destroyed.
Can you help me out? Why does the United States of America fund this Hamas coalition government? We're giving them money. Now, why would we do that to our closest ally in the region? And you mentioned Philip Gordon, the White House coordinator for the Middle East, blaming Israel for occupation of the West Bank. That's not, that is the exact language of the Palestinians. So, you know, whose side are we going to be on here?
And that is the rhetorical question. Whose side is Barack Obama on? Because obviously, if Philip Gordon is stating that in Israel, he is speaking for the administration and for the president. You know, Sean, as soon as Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, which is Fatah, the original Palestinian terrorist organization, went into a reconciliation pact and signed an agreement with Hamas, we should have cut off all funding and resource support to the Palestinian Authority over in the West Bank. But we're not sending that clear and decisive message, and we're not sending the strength of leadership that we should have coming from the White House. This is the symbol of weakness. This is what is happening in the Middle East, why you have the Islamic State has created a caliphate, because we are seen as being in a position of not having any effect whatsoever, especially when the president said we were going to pivot from the Middle East.
Colonel, this is the second time we've done this. We gave Mohammed Morsi, former head of the Muslim Brotherhood, we gave him F-16s, tanks, and $1.5 billion. Now we're funding the Hamas coalition government and the Palestinian Authority. I got to tell you something. I don't think this administration either understands radical Islamists or cares to deal with the situation here. We ought to be, isn't this a moment where we ought to be showing moral clarity that we have a common enemy, that they want to destroy Israel? That's first and foremost. Then they really want to go after the West and the United States. Isn't that the reality of radical Islamists right now?
Yeah, that is. And when you look at the support to the Muslim Brotherhood and Mohammed Morsi, and the fact that the Obama administration was holding support to the current Egyptian government for the ouster of Mohammed Morsi, and the real strong condemnation of the Muslim Brotherhood. But also we have an administration that lent armament support and resource support to Islamist rebels in Libya. So we have a very confusing Middle East policy. It seems that we are supporting the Islamists. we are giving them the advantage and the upper hand by material resource support, financial support, and that is what is confusing many of the people in the Middle East, such as Israel and also Egypt, who are potentially looking elsewhere for support.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West on Hannity tonight. And coming up, the influx of immigrants